I just went and saw Undertone, which is a new horror movie that follows two podcasters as they explore the contents of an anonymously received email. To avoid any direct spoilers, that's pretty much where I'm going to leave the synopsis of the plot, and now we're going to get pretty vague. I want to give a quick shout out to Dead Meat because I saw an interview that they did with the director of this movie, in which the director explained that he wanted to make this more like a creepypasta movie, because creepypasta movies haven't really felt like a creepypasta in his opinion. I haven't admittedly watched a ton of those movies, so I'm not going to say whether I agree or disagree with that, but what I will say is that I think he did a good job at emulating the creepypasta formula into this movie. It follows the formula that I would expect from a creepypasta, in which this thing that exists in their world is shared around a bunch of times, and if it's your time to have found it or be shared it or experience it, it's gonna cause you issues. So that's basically the plot of the movie, is that anonymous email has some things that are bad, and now our character experiences that. We really only have our main character and then the voice of our friend Justin. For pretty much the entire movie, we're just following Evie. That's really the only character that's on screen that's very important outside of the mom, but she is, catatonic. She's more just a set piece, if you want to call her that, and not to be rude. Honestly, even though the mom is more of a catatonic set piece, like I was saying, she is used very well for a lot of the tension and scares and just the general kind of world building that goes on inside of this movie. So I think even though we're basically seeing just one character the entire time, there is enough of a world here that the movie works. Regardless, the idea is, how do you take a concept of a podcast and turn it into a movie, and a horror movie at that? I think this is probably the best you're gonna get out of that, and it's pretty good. I'm not gonna say it's a bad movie. The thing is that this movie doesn't do anything exceptionally well, but it also doesn't do anything outright wrong. It is good. I had a good time watching it. I am glad it's an hour and a half long, because if it was longer, that would be probably pretty bad. But it is an hour and a half, so they did good on that front. I would say my highlight of the movie is how well they use their lighting and their sound design to make tension grow very smoothly and effectively. There were many times, especially early on in the movie, that I was watching these side profile shots of Evie doing the podcast, and I'm just staring into the abyss because the lighting is changing ever so slightly back there and making me think that something is going to jump out at me at any given moment. So I kept worrying about that. We also get, every time she puts on the headphones, we get a sound cue, basically deafening everything on the outside world, and we're sucked into the podcast world that she's in. I would pretty much expect something like that to happen in a movie of this sort, where you're going to at least use the sound as a part of your design, because sound is a big part of podcasts. In fact, it's kind of the only part of a podcast. Okay, I get it. There's video podcasts, but theirs is definitely just an audio podcast based on how they made it. They really loved using pulsating lighting. That was something that was used a ton in the movie, to great effect as well, because they were able to hide things back there in the pulses, or things could grow just slowly through those pulses until you could kind of see what was going on. It made things very intense and very fun, admittedly. Okay, this next thing is slightly spoilery, so if you don't want any spoilers, I'd skip ahead just maybe 20 seconds and I'll be over this already. I did like that at the end there was no big monster to jump out and scare you and be CGI and look ugly. That would have probably hurt the movie more than it helped, so I'm glad they didn't go that route. Overall, this movie is better than I expected it to be. Just based on the premise, I really didn't have a lot of faith in it, to be completely honest. Hearing that it's just a horror podcast thing, I'm looking back at Selfie Man or Countdown and Grim Cuddy and these movies, which I think I enjoy Grim Cuddy a ton. I think it's funny, it's amazing, but some of those other movies are just kind of hard to watch because the premise is so limited and they have to drag it out to a length of a movie. I worried that'd be the case here with Undertone, but it really isn't. I thought they did a great job keeping it an hour and a half and getting the story told through that time. I think they used the podcasting thing to their advantage as well. They've got people calling in, they're constantly looking up things as they're talking about them in the podcast to get better research, to better explore the world that they're building through their horror podcasts that they make. I think that was well done and a good way to utilize the very limited premise that you have to expand it a little bit more. Is it my favorite horror movie? No. But did I have a good time? Yes. And I think that if you like a horror movie that's a bit slower and more about tension, then this is going to be for you and you should go out and see it. If you have already seen Undertone, what did you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. And that's all I've got for today. I will see you all in the next video.